I'm gonna start recording this match as we are in our top one grand finals game of Medieval Melee 4 Vifter online.
What happened to
And
Brian?
Brian and Thurat's teams have been assigned.
All right, and he.
I accidentally unplugged my headphones. Sorry.
No worries.
You are Team B, Thurat.
Team B, B-boy.
Marrow, you will be taking care of Brian.
Okay, we need to switch teams. Okay, hold on. Okay. All right, so Mero, I'm going to switch to diamonds, and you switch to Joker. And then I will follow Thurat to the yellow side. Mero?
I think
Mar-
it looks like Marrow
Mara is
bubble.
deafened and muted. Yes. Oh, never mind. Looks like Mara's back.
Whew, I'm back.
Mero, switch to Joker, and then join on Moonside.
Moonside. Okay.
Yes.
I'm with Thurat.
I'm with Thurat this
You're with Brian.
round. And
Okay,
you'll be with
I'm
Brian.
on A.
Yeah. Alrighty, and I will jump.
Okay, now that Rift is gone, I just want to say I really, really feel for him being on my team.
What makes you say that?
Oh, you know.
Or like, what do you mean by that, rather?
He can hear you.
Uh-oh.
He said he had fun with you and that it was very intense.
Yes, that's fair. That is one way to describe it. Just, the way I react to things is generally very hype.
Yeah. No.
I mean, to be fair, both you and Thurat are high anxiety people.
No.
Oh,
Like,
perfect.
the thing is, like, watching your match was actually really interesting because it was almost the complete opposite of what we saw in Tails and Brian's match, because Brian and Tails, it looks like, right off the bat, Brian went for easy picks and then forced Tails into situations where Tails had to make hard reads. And in your entire match with Thurat, both of you guys were playing off of each other's turns. Like, you guys didn't take advantage of, like, what the opponent's openings. You went for more of the strengths and like plays by plays and making more and more hard reads, then I feel like we're somewhat, not that like they were or weren't necessary, but like it definitely led to much more high anxiety moments. But here we go. We'll see how this plays out, because from what it looks like, at least in the last games that we saw, they actually have very opposite, play styles. Brian, being Darwin on the blue side, showing that they want to play more safe and pick off like easy wins and whittle down the team as much as they can. And Thurat on the yellow side, being able to like try to go for the hard reads and play things turn by turn. Let's see what we have on the board, though. We have two archers, spear, two pole arms, two bastard swords, and a shield. This is going to be an interesting play. Let's see.
I feel like opening advantage is easily going to be taken by whoever selects first. That is to say, whoever takes the shield.
Yeah, that's the real question. Let's see. Yeah, it looks like Sun opts to choose second.
Interesting.
I mean, because first player gets to pick, then the second player gets to pick the next two, right? Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah, and so this
Yeah.
means that the person who takes the shield might actually lose. Like, if Brian decides to take the shield, Thurat might just pick two archers, which
That's a very good point.
could be a really interesting play of itself. And I think that's why Thurat wants to put that pressure on Brian, because now it's like,
Mhm.
well, at this point, if Brian picks the archer, that means Thurat gets an archer and a shield versus, oh, here we go. Okay, first pick archer.
I sort of see where you're coming from now, because putting him there, he can actually force him to end up with the spear, which means he'll be the one stuck with the sort of less useful kit option.
Oh, but he's opting to take the sword. Okay, okay. This is interesting.
This is interesting.
Yeah. We're going for the double red? I wasn't okay.
Liking that play. I like the red's mobility in this situation.
Against the polearm?
Definitely.
Okay, but we're missing out on the shield.
Okay. Looks like the shield has been claimed. Okay, sticking him with the spear.
Okay. I mean, I think the spear is probably going to be a non-factor because the two polearms already have the range. Like, in a situation where there are not really other pieces that have one range, I think having the spear is less useful than just having the polearm. But what do I know? I'm not in this grand finals.
Well, neither am I, but I'm still here on the sidelines talking.
I mean, this makes more sense though for their play styles. You know what I mean? It looks like Darwin or Brian is going to be is looking for the higher mobility things to be able to move around and pick off the things that aren't active, while Thurat is going for somewhat more safe options to be able to play against that. And I think this is going to be a round where turn 1 start is actually going to be extremely important. What do people's first turns look like? I feel that Brian is probably going to be able to set up a piece and try to pick something off where Thurat is going to try to react to that. And so I think it's actually probably going to be detrimental to Thurat if Thurat ends up having to pick his piece first.
That's fair. I'm very interested. Too far. You can't hear me. I'm very interested to see where the archers end up. I feel like the shield gives cover. Can't deploy there.
Yep, that's a little bit too far.
Yeah, on both of those things. But one thing I'm looking at here is that if Thurat's archer can get a clean shot on Darwin's archer to start the game, that's going to be huge for him.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, considering the things that they're deployed, I feel like both of the teams are well suited for how each player wants to play. That said, we might need to restart deployment.
Why?
I think there was probably a little bit of confusion. Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna say I don't actually think that Thurat should push his units up to the line like that. I think he should take a little bit of distance and try and use his mobility against him, because he's gonna rush probably early, which would let you sort of make them come to you sort of type mentality.
Yeah, you're right. And I feel like, with the shield, that's probably better, right? With some way to potentially guard your archer, that might be better. I find it really interesting that the shield is the first thing to be put down.
Yeah, I definitely would have put the 2 poles down first, personally. Sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, no. This is good. I'm really curious about this pick.
Yeah. Thurat might be forgetting the fact that poles cannot attack through allies.
I actually don't know if that's the case. I think maybe the whole idea here is to stop the initial movement from Brian on the other 2 pieces. And then be able to, because looking at how this is set up, it looks exactly how Brian wants to play. It looks like Brian's going to be able to pick off inactive pieces freely. Um, and it looks like Thurat is going to have to actually make reads for that. And if Thurat makes the right reads, then things could go in Thurat's favor. That said, it looks like Brian's going to be able to kind of force the play first. And it looks like that's probably that's the situation that let Brian beat Tails.
That's true. That's too far. Early picks. I don't know why I keep saying that. Early picks are definitely going to be big for Brian here. I have the biggest question, of course, which is to say, why on earth is he deploying his archer all the way out there?
I don't know. I don't know. I would love to see the archer, behind shield line potentially. It really, I guess the hard part right now is Thurat's forced into a situation where Brian can counterplay where he puts his archer.
Yeah.
Like right now, the archer is in a perfect situation to do so right here. That said, do the archers pick each other off right now, turn one, or do we do something else turn one? And I guess the real answer is, like, if the archers choose to pick each other off turn one, then I actually think that this is a better placement for Thurat. But if that's not the case, then I feel like this is a better placement for Brian. We'll have to kind of see who picks their first unit. Because if it is Brian, then Thurat can, just... Oh, here we go. Okay. So Thurat's deploying...
That's
Yep.
forced to do that.
Yes. Because Brian picked the piece first, right? Picked the first piece. And that means Thurat did this to himself.
That is accurate. Yes. So one thing I'm looking at here is if you see that archer has a direct line on the red, so they could stop them from taking a big play here with a complete takedown of a unit, or they can knock down the opposing archer. So I'm really not sure what the move here is.
Yeah, this is a tough place. And I feel that, like, you can get units out early. Because at this point, does the red just go in for the polearm versus trying to take out the archer? Yeah. We'll have to see. Seeing how Brian likes to play, he might attempt to take out the polearm. I don't quite know how else this would work. Okay.
Well, I feel like if he'd like to protect the archer, the move is to hit the other archer and get back as far as they can.
Yeah.
And I mean, you're risking the sacrifice of the polearm, but if they go for the archer, it's a clean getaway, completely clean.
This is true. I think, the safe move, the way I see this almost playing out is Brian moving up here, potentially even moving behind the pole, and then the archer needing to escape. Oh, here we go. Okay, move, diagonal. Looks like Brian's going for the polearm, completely attacking, negating, and it looks like Thurat's going to move out of range of there and then attack. And looks like Thurat's going to have almost free range on most other things. But this is going to be kind of huge for both characters.
Right, but it kind of depends on what they're going to hit with the archer.
Yeah, it looks like otherwise it's a pretty fairly even trade, and I would actually even say this is probably in Brian's favor right now because he still has a loaded archer.
That is fair. I would even go as far as to say, if you look at the other Bastard Sword, it can get behind the other polearm again immediately.
It
So
can.
if he doesn't select that polearm next, it's gonna go away. No choices.
Yeah, yeah. And this is kind of what we saw when we were first talking about the initial deployment, was that, Brian is going to be able to move around, pick things off very quick, very easily, with how things were deployed. And Thorat was in a situation where he had to make these hard reads that he couldn't just do because he had to pick first for his first turn move.
True.
Um, you know, I honestly feel that having to play you right before this, and then having to play you not just once, but in 3 games, one in the initial game and 2 deathmatch games, might have just mentally strained him to not have that straight thought process. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually going to hamper his play here, because this is almost a huge loss for Thurat.
Yeah, that's very true, and it could turn out to be even bigger depending on where we see this polearm move to.
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I think we're in a situation right now where the obvious move for Brian is to, move diagonal or move up, move diagonal, try to get behind the polearm. But the polearm is active. The polearm is going to be moved. In which case, this polearm could actually just move behind this red and take it out as well.
True. Hmm.
Wait, when did this archer become a blue?
That was the initial shot that Thurat took with his archer.
I see. That changes a lot. Okay.
Yes, that is some advantage, but looking at the rest of the field, I really couldn't tell you how much.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it looks like the overarching overall strategy between both players is try to leave as many people as you can with single blues, and you don't have to worry about the high damage units as much. And here we go. Okay, so it looks like Thurat is going to go for the kill on the Bastard Sword, and it looks like the attempt was to move that upper red into where behind that polearm was. And I think Thurok actually made an appropriate read. Was it that? Oh, it was down. Ooh, okay.
Oh, but you know what this does?
Yeah,
I think that. Mhm.
that makes
Yep,
things really
there it
awkward.
is.
Yep. That was a good
was
play.
A very strong read. Yep. Absolutely fantastic.
It was, let me open up that space, let me get rid of that shield. But at this point, I think the shield actually doesn't necessarily serve as big of a purpose anymore until World End. Or until the edge closes in, which is something that might be a non-factor considering how many pieces do so much damage on the field right now.
Right.
Because we don't have a loaded archer, and we only have a polearm. And it looks like, Brian's picks are ultimately going to be the thing that is overwhelming Thurat. That said, Thurat's in a situation where he can just reload then fire.
That is very true. If I were...
Whew.
I'm getting the feeling he wants that Bastard Sword there. Which... I don't know if that's the right play.
Yeah, this is hard. Because the pole can move behind the Bastard Sword, and that means the spear can essentially just sit and attack. Or, I think the smart play on Brian's part, which is something Brian might do, is move and then move into the space behind, and they'll bounce off each other. In which case, the red polearm will be able to only attack or the block of the red. But we're in a real
fair,
tough situation, yeah.
The polearm does swing for 2 damage, and if the polearm makes the defensive play, they won't be able to attack because of the spear's inability to attack a space right next to it,
Yes.
which leaves the polearm free to knock either the bastard sword or the spear down to a single blue immediately,
Yes.
leaving them open to an archer kill next round.
Yeah, I think you're right in the sense that like this is the risk play, right? If you want to
Mhm.
place in this spot right here, that is the risk play. Uh, just because if they both move, they're moving one space and then they move into that one space, and then the attack. They could both attack though. This is
True.
this is really interesting. I feel like in this situation, definitely where I thought Thurat might be at an advantage, I think Thurat's in a big disadvantage situation.
Hmm. Actually, I think for Thurat in this situation, the best thing to do is try and get behind that bastard sword because even if they bounce off of the spear,
You still have
the
the
spear
option.
has true, but also the spear has higher mobility, so they're actually going to get stuck behind the bastard sword, leaving them unable to attack because of how close the polearm is.
Hmm.
I believe that's how it was explained to me.
Well, hold on. I think let me see this. So the spear only has like the 3 movement mobility, and when they run into each other, the movement stops, right? So
Uh, yeah, but um,
if they
Rift
move
and
at
I
the
were
same
just
time, okay.
talking about that.
Hmm.
That if they have the higher movement, they do actually get priority when bumping into each other.
I see. Oh,
Mhm.
yeah, that would be really interesting. Um, so does that mean you protect your? I mean, you protect it. You protect the red in
Mhm.
kind of a way. You protect the bastard in kind of a way that's like really interesting because like you don't stop it from getting killed, but you do get it hurt really bad. In which case, you got to think about Thurat's next move, which is going to be his archer, um, and that would leave it more than 3 spaces away. If he turns it into a blue, he can't move it there anymore.
True. I'm interested to. No, what is he doing?
What are we looking at?
What are we thinking?
1, 2,
1, 2, and a sprint.
sprint. You
It
want
looks
to
like
go
he's
for the
trying. It's like he wasn't even listening to us.
Okay, but like you think about this, right? This is the safe play. This is what we kind of expect from Thurat, where Brian is trying to go for the harder read, which is what we expect from Brian.
That
Um,
is true.
and so, you kill the one piece, and now you kind of only have to worry about these other, like, what's being played now. It has, like, ooh, okay, 1, 2, 3.
Hmm. I can't help but think about the red archer, which I feel like if the archer makes a sprint out to the right or left, and the read isn't the same, they can knock one of those guys down to a single,
Single blue, yep.
hmm which creates some sort of advantage. Personally, I think he should run the archer towards the polearm so that the polearm can come straight down into defense, hopefully giving them the edge.
Yeah, that'd be really interesting. That'd be a really interesting play to see, like, Darwin or to see Brian try to move towards the archer and then having the archer move up one,
Hmm.
right? And now the spear can't attack the archer. That's the risky play, and I don't think that's the play that Thurat would make. That's definitely the play that Brian would make.
That is fair. So what are we looking at in terms of what's the archer's mobility again?
So the archer, let's see. I can hover over this mouse. Looks like the archer has 2 movement.
Okay.
Um,
So we could see movement of 3. It definitely 1, 2, 3.
I could
1,
see it being
2.
1, 2, and then I honestly, this is hard. Or does Brian just go for the polearm?
That is. Oh, looks like it's an archer. Okay. So we got spear again.
1.
See,
Yeah, yeah,
this
no,
is what I
and
don't
and this,
understand right now. What are we thinking? What are we doing?
I don't think Brian wants to chase down the archer at this point. I think Brian is probably chasing down the pole.
Okay.
Make that pole into a single blue.
Uh-oh.
Because we have to reload and shoot with the archer. Here we go. Oh, it looks like the spear is going for the archer.
Uh-oh. Okay, so we had to go for a reload and then a shoot.
And I think
Hold on, wait. Does this put the archer in critical range? Backstab range?
no, the archer is facing. If I recall correctly,
The
the way
spear just looked away.
I don't know why. I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either, but it looks like it's going to be a trade here.
Yes, I definitely agree. I think that.
No.
Whoa!
Oh, well, you know what? That's actually smart. That's the only 2 damage piece he has left.
Yeah, this is interesting.
And if he can make a sprint with the... If he can make a sprint with the polearm, he can leave just the spear left after this next round.
This is, that was definitely the smartest play. Okay, because
Definitely interesting.
Thurat's at a point where he resets, and this means that he does not have to worry about reloading an archer. The spear is going to be moving though, and so I guess the real question is, what does Thurat want to play? Ooh, okay, we're playing the blue. For Brian's playing the blue.
And Thurat is stuck on the polearm this turn because he just uses archer.
Are we in that situation? I think both of them are up. I think they're both reset because...
I don't know,
Yeah.
did they? Oh, okay, because they did just use the polearm beforehand.
Yeah.
Alright. So does this mean we're going to try and take a quick little backstab on the spear, or what are we looking at for this?
I think that's the right play. I think...
Well, since the spear can't move, I would agree with you.
Yeah. Spear can't move. Spear is essentially defenseless at this point. And, like, this can move 1, 2, and take out the red. But that would leave this single blue up against the pole, in which the pole can do the strategy in the last match against you, where it was just shove, attack. And there was actually, I don't think, be any way for that blue to get in because there's no other block.
Right. I didn't have any way to get out of it, so...
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, but it looks like... Hold on. Take another look at this. If he hits that spear, then it's just going to be the polearm versus 2 blues. Because if that blue comes down to attack, which starts Edge of World...
Edge of World happens when one player or both players hit.
When one player only has 1 remaining, so you can't run away forever.
Awesome.
Should be an interesting rest of match here if the blue goes for that.
Yep.
But I don't think they could get to polearm.
Yeah, no, because this is 1, 2. I think that's the only thing that Brian could do is go 1, 2, attack, and the only thing from here that would be effective for Thurat is to really just cripple the blue. I mean, being able to have a polearm against 2 blues, I think in this game is actually solid, just because it means your polearm gets to move every turn. And
it is a major advantage here.
Look, and if this blue gets attacked, that means the blue's gonna get suicide and be able to take it out. You'll be able to attack twice.
Okay, so we're looking at a takedown of at least one of these.
Yes.
Which
okay, so that's the right move, right?
Yep. And then the murder backstab goes through the block.
The question is, does Brian decide to attack? Because this red now gets suicide, and then do we take out the thing? And then it's a single blue against a great polearm, and I feel like that match will have to be really determined on hard reads and sheer determination.
That's
Because
fair. That is a really interesting question. Can he choose to ignore his attack instead of say, "Wait a minute, what are we doing here?" That just went back to a spear.
is he? Well, I mean, I guess Thurat did not put down a piece on what to attack yet, so.
Still editing on the first.
Yep,
attack.
yep. Here we go. Okay, so
Okay.
we are deciding to do this.
Okay. I still think that's the better move to
Yeah.
completely clean out. And to take advantage with the pull.
Yep.
He used it to beat me last round. He can probably pull it again.
No, for sure. I mean, I think, if he had a shield, this might be a different story. It would still be really hard. But that being said, like, what is this blue going to do? This blue might just have to run away. And like,
True.
oh boy, here we go. Edge of world time. Tensions are high. But it definitely looks like this might be in Thurat's favor.
Yes, I can see that, definitely.
I mean, the best that Brian could do is make it a draw if Brian is able to attack the polearm. Does this have... It looks like... Oh, this still has a block.
Oh, but polearms do deal 2 points of damage. One hit and that thing's done.
That's true. Okay. I think this...
Getting hectic.
I think this might rely just on Edge of World then. In which case, if Thurat can race the polearm to the center and then just do push, shove, shove, attack, then I think that's kind of all that matters. Let's see. This only has 2 movements, so 1, 2 here, right? As close to the center as possible, or maybe even approaching this, and the blue would also be able to move here. Yeah, this is rough because the blue, even if Brian's blue races to the center, they're gonna trade, and wait, if they trade, Brian actually gets a draw because this is the active piece and it gets a suicide. But it looks like Brian is going for the runaway.
That is very strange at this point because all... Oh my god, my brain is not working right now.
Thurat.
All Thurat has to do, thank you, is get into the circle, which he could do with a sprint right now. I almost think a sprint and then set up for an attack.
I don't know why
Maybe
Thurat didn't go for the sprint. It's the safe play, right? Thurat didn't want to go for the sprint like that turn because it was a safe play.
Right. All he has to do is sprint and then set up an attack, shove, or shove attack every single turn after that.
Now
Game over.
we're at a point where we're playing chicken with World Edge.
Very true.
It's interesting because the thing is, if they both end up next to each other, then they both attack. Then Darwin gets the suicide, and then gets to actually kill the pole, I think, unless the pole has more than one block.
It has a block and enough HP to turn itself into a single blue. I don't think it can take it out. 1 and 2.
Because it still has a block. That is what it is, right?
Okay,
Yep, I
looks like Thurat is definitely thinking. And Darwin just wants to sort of skirt the edge, see what he can do.
Yeah, no, this is rough at this point. Like, okay, now that Thurat has control of the center, now I think this is really hard.
Yeah, Thurat definitely made a good play there, taking it over.
That said...
What's that?
I was going to say, like, that said, like, if Darwin took the center, like, it still might be in Thurat's favor, but, like, Thurat has to be more cautious about that, and I think that was the choice there.
Yeah.
But like, if things go according to plan, it looks like it's gonna be Thurat's game, and it looks like Brian's read just didn't work out, like pan out as well as he thought.
Right. As long as making him come to you is probably the most important thing about being able to fight a polearm in his current state.
Mm-hmm.
But now he's completely lost that ability because all he has to do is sit until end of game, which
Yeah.
is unfortunate for Brian.
Yeah, yeah. And it's, it's not like it's a spear where, Thorat has to, or where Brian would have to rush towards and, potentially get within the range of the spear. We're not in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if Thurat wanted to play aggressively right now, all he would have to do is step forward 1 and set up an attack. That might even just finish the game right now, because he does have to continue moving forward, which would put him almost, possibly in range.
You're right. You're right.
Hmm.
Here we go.
I'm interested to see. Okay, looks like we're getting aggressive, and he's trying to run right past him.
Okay.
Which, let's see if it works for
1,
him.
2.
Where the fuck is
Whoa.
that guy going?
Hold on.
What was that movement?
He was here. No. That's actually right, because he was here to start, right? He was in this spot, and then 1,
Okay.
2, run, and then Thurat actually went up and then this way. You were right. If Thurat only had to move up 1 space.
Which
all
would have
of-
threatened the space that he's in right now and won him the game this minute.
Yep. Yeah, because Thurat's space right here, and that would control this entire area.
So if I were in Thurat's shoes right now, I would just set up an attack. No matter where that guy moves right now, next move, he's done for. Unless he stays where he's at.
Yeah, I think that's actually the move for Brian is to stay.
Yeah, it's risky, but
I mean, or Thurat just moves to the center and attacks, because...
yeah.
Ooh, hold on. Thurat moves to the center. Brian moves right. Oh, he's gonna be stopped here though because they're not moving into the same space. This is a rough match for Brian. That said, I think he might be able to delay it long enough.
You know what? I think Thurat needs a spin here. He needs to not be exposing his back as much. That might
Oh, yeah.
come back to haunt him if he leaves it.
I mean, I think the safe play is for Brian to move down 2. And then turn.
Down 2. Yeah, I could definitely see that. The only problem is he's well within that range, so if Thurat did set up an attack...
He can move here, and he still can control the middle area and attack. No, you're right. This is a rough
he'll be in
situation.
a lot of trouble.
I mean, the real question is, do you continue to move? Here we go.
Yeah, it looks like Thurat does go for a move, and so does Darwin. But the read by Thurat gives him the spin, avoids that backstab,
Mm-hmm.
and ends the game. Absolutely fantastic.
Here we go. Resolving.
Hold on.
Attacks.
However, oh no, never mind. Even with the final blow, it doesn't count.
Attacks the block,
Ooh.
and then it transforms into the suicide attack, right? The suicide attack will hit that.
Yep.
And Thurat wins.
Very nice.
Yep, that's game.
Yep. Very.
Damn,
That was spooky in a lot
Yeah.
of different spots.
No.
I was genuinely happily surprised by that.
Yeah.
That was-
I'm like Brian.
Wisteria, I know
players
you also
only deal one.
interested in playing that for third place match after this if you are interested.
Oh, sure. If Sir Tails wants to go, I'd be happy to.
Yeah.
Good game,
Albert,
Brian.
if you want to head out, you can. But we also enjoy your commentating so much.
Sure. I might do one more. I do have other plans on a Friday night. But yeah, I can definitely do
Okay,
one
I'll
more.
go test.
But like, let's have I actually want to have a few words of discussion, like just between Thura and Brian, because there was a lot of play that we kind of expected from seeing you in the past games. Brian, it looked like you had your initial intention was kind of just go for like strong reads right away, and Thurat was mostly trying to play safe, and it looks like the safe play really made it difficult for when you made like one wrong read and put yourself in a situation where you were just behind like one unit the entire game. And that's kind of what it looked like it was at.
The wrong move I made is I forgot spears only do 1 damage. I was thinking of the other two-handed weapons that
Yep.
do two.
Hmm.
So when I hit that archer, I turned my back so that I'd be facing the remaining halberd, but I forgot it would just turn into a single blue and backstab me.
Yep, that was
So
actually.
from there
Yeah.
I couldn't get back on the board.
Okay, Thor, what was your thought process overall in the match? Like, just in terms of trying to respond to Brian's like hard reads and things like that.
I admit I'm not a very like 5 move ahead kind of strategist. So I kind of play by the seat of my pants and take it as it comes. So I don't know. I didn't really have much of a plan going through all this, and I was just taking whatever I looked like the best move at the time.
Mhm.
I don't have a solid thought process. I take the American approach to strategy and just if I don't know what I'm doing, no one else can possibly know what I'm doing.
I mean, it looked like you were trying to respond a little bit more to the hard reads that Brian was trying to make, and it looks like Brian was, going for the glory fights. Um,
One of the things that I noticed that game
Right.
was there was a moment where the round reset for Thurat because Brian had killed one of the units that was going to go next.
mm-hmm.
And that wound up
Yep.
really hamstringing him because I think it was like the polearm got to move twice in a row, or some other high damage
Yeah,
unit.
I forgot to hit me first and flip
Yeah.
full arm. And
Yeah, that was definitely a moment over there. I remember Brian calling that out, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
oh, that went. That wasn't what I had planned."
Yeah, it's definitely interesting how it's like, one turn, one move is something that can cause stuff to pivot so much.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it
But-
was a lot of fun. Rift can attest to the like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. That was my entire thought process. Just the entire time was just oh shit, oh shit, oh shit.
Yeah, I feel like most people who have been playing have been like, is this the right move? What should I do? And I'm just like, I cannot answer these questions for you.
Yeah, no, for sure.
I
I
don't know
mean-
if, Brian, you also had that experience of being nervous every time you locked in a move.
Yeah.
No, it definitely seems like, every game kind of goes down really close to the wire. It looks like that like the comeback mechanic of being able to move your units more frequently at the end of the games is really what kind of could make the hard reads at the end really strong. And what it kind of came down to in this game was, losing
it's ironic
one
that you
extra
say
piece.
that, right? Because in this game, having the advantage of having stronger pieces earlier absolutely dictated the outcome of this fight.
Yeah.
But there is the only time, and even at the point where it's a single blue against a polearm, like that is probably the worst matchup you can have.
It really
But it's
is.
still not unwinnable. You can still pull a tie out of that.
Yeah. That's
so it's a
If
bit
you're,
tough.
yeah, it's possible. But I think to pull a tie, what had to happen was if Thurat had like thrown an attack on turn one,
mm-hmm.
and Brian had stalled, like shoved on turn one when he was too far out. So Thurat's predicting, oh, he's going to jump in on me, so I'm going to attack him.
Yeah.
And then instead, Brian moves in on turn two, and then the next round starts with Brian adjacent. Then there's some room.
It definitely would have to be almost like a bad play on Thurat's part for that to have happened. I don't foresee by the way that Thurat was playing, I don't foresee that happening. But yeah, that was a solid game.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely back to the thing that I was saying, where like unit supremacy does matter and can play a big part. But even if you're in a terrible situation, it's still not a guaranteed win. You can still
Yeah.
screw that play up.
Oh, hey. Well, with that said, I'm gonna get this game set up for third place round, and I'm gonna stop the recording. Congratulations again, Thurat.
Thank you, Albert.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm guessing I need to leave the tabletop simulator game